It's a busy time of the year, huh? So I'm glad you're all here because it affords you the opportunity to come in and take a deep breath and relax and listen to a wonderful message about who you are. Aren't you glad you came? Yes. Absolutely. There's probably a lot of people not here who are out shopping today. And my heart just kind of goes out to them because they could be here, you know, getting the Spirit. Not that they don't have it, but it's, you know, awakening it, wanting it to come forward. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Now, speaking of being busy, my husband and I went for 4 days down to Riverside a few weeks ago, maybe 10 days ago, and we went to the Mission Inn. Anybody been to the Mission Inn, Riverside? You know what it is, don't you? It is the most incredible thing at Christmas time. They have something called the Festival of Lights, and they have Christmas displays with over 1 million lights all over the building, inside the building, all around. You just can't even imagine, if you haven't been there, what they've done. They have lifelike characters, carolers, angels, Santa Clauses, reindeer, you know, the whole gamut of everything that you can imagine about Christmas. So it's a magical time. And then they close off, it's a whole block, and they close off the streets, and in this Festival of Lights, they had an ice skating rink a couple of years ago, and they also had reindeer in a pan. And how many of you have ever seen a reindeer? You have? I'd never seen one before. It was interesting, kind of a funny little thing. This light is out. Can I have a light on? There it is. Well, that makes it better. So, in thinking about the reindeer, I remembered a sign, and I took a picture of it that was on the pan. And this is what it said, because I was disappointed this year they weren't there, and I suppose animal rights people kind of said, don't do that anymore. Because actually the reindeer didn't look very happy. And, you know, it's like, and it was warm that year, so you can imagine. So anyway, this is what the sign said. Excuse me. According to the Alaska Fish and Game Department, while both male and female reindeer grow antlers in the summer each year, male reindeer drop their antlers at the beginning of winter, usually late November to mid-December. Female reindeer retain their antlers till after they give birth in the spring. Interesting. Therefore, according to every historical rendition depicting Santa's reindeer, every single one of them, from Blitzen to Rudolph, had to be a girl. The sign went on to say, we should have known that only a female would be able to drag a fat man in a red velvet suit all around the world in one night and not get lost. Okay. That's all the silly I have for right now. Because fortunately, there's one thing that never gets lost for us, and it's the idea that we have all been given Christmas presents, the gift of presents. And it comes as a reminder every year at this time that the story in the form of the baby Jesus, the birth, reminds us that there too is a birth every moment if we will recognize it. So let's think about the story. The baby, born of Mary and Joseph, who were human parents, yet the story has special effects that makes the baby Jesus different from other babies. He had angels and kings as some of his first visitors. They brought gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh, which were just incredibly expensive back in biblical times. Yet he was born away from his home, in a barn, which was not unusual for nomadic people of the time, and of course they were also rural. And as far as the barn goes, they couldn't call for reservations because there were no cell phones back in the day. And so they had to take their chances on a place to stay when they were called to do the census and pay their taxes or whatever else they were going to do. But there were no room at the end, so they got to stay in the barn. Now, I'm not going to go over any more of the story because we all know it. We've heard it over and over and over again. And every year we sing songs about Jesus Christ being born on Christmas Day. But as a religious science minister, I'm going to take issue with it this morning. And I don't want to take away from the Christian story, but I want to broaden it a bit and expand our thinking so that it applies to us today, so that we can use it in a way that allows us to do what Jesus did. So, truth be known, Jesus' last name was not Christ. It was probably Carpenter, because his father was a carpenter. And they took, you know, if you were a blacksmith and your name was Blacksmith, if your father was. And if you were, did they have shoes? They had shoes. Anyway, it was shoemaker, whatever. So they just took the name of the trade that the family was in. So I don't believe he was the only son of God. And it tells us that in the Science of Mind textbook. As a student of the Science of Mind, how many have had classes in the teachings of the Science of Mind? Oh, look at us. Oh, yes. So good. We learn that every person, everywhere, is the son or daughter of God. That's what we are. That's who we are. That's who we have always been. So, what we are doing is, and yes, we are celebrating the birth of Jesus, the baby Jesus, the man called Jesus. But what we're celebrating is the Christ principle. And that's born in every human being, and it is a principle, an eternal principle, a universal law that can be used if we awaken to it. And that's what Christmas to me, according to the Science of Mind, represents. It's an opportunity for us all to remember once again that the Christ consciousness, the Christ spirit, God individualized as each one of us is what we are. There's nothing other than that. So I have my handy little textbook here. Is that right? We do believe that in the unique personage of Jesus, the Christ was more fully orbed than anyone of whom we have record. We do believe that in the person of Jesus, more of God was manifest. We also believe that Christ comes alike to each and all. There is no one particular man predestined to become the Christ. No one man predestined to become the Christ. We must understand that Christ is not a person, but a principle. It was impossible for Jesus not to become the Christ, as the human gave way to the divine, as the man gave way to God, as the flesh gave way to his spirit, as the will of division gave way to the will of unity. Jesus, the man, became a living embodiment of the Christ. We all have that same opportunity. We can be the Christ in action if we so choose. But you see, we have to remember that. So, if we look upon Jesus from this viewpoint, we shall be able to study his life as a living example. So, that's that for now. Thank you, Ernest. That idea makes Jesus come front and center. And rather than being an exception, he is the example for us to follow. We can bear witness to who and what he was. We can bear witness also to the fact that some people choose not to fully express what we have been given, the gift of presence. On page 361-5, wait a minute. I need a practitioner. Okay. Jesus never thought of himself as different from others. His whole teaching was that what he did, others could do. He located God and the kingdom of heaven within himself. He had plunged beneath the material surface of creation and found its spiritual cause. This cause he called God or Father. We can call it anything we want. Divine intelligence, universal spirit, the Atman, the All, the Father, Mother, God. It doesn't matter what we call it. It's the idea that we recognize that that power and that presence is right here within us at this moment, at any given time, simply awaiting our recognition that it does exist and we can use it. And we use it every time we think. So the deal with signs of mind is to be able to be so consciously aware of what we're thinking from moment to moment. Because at that moment, the power and the presence of this universal spirit, this universal power, and its love is going to be expressed through the words and the thoughts and the feelings that we're expressing in the world. And it doesn't care. It doesn't discriminate. It just simply backs up whatever it is that we're giving to the world. So, what Christmas offers to all of us is the reminder that we have been given the gift of the presence. And to that degree that we wake up and we use it, we are expressing Christ consciousness. And we need to do it more consciously. Most of us are so busy. And I'm probably, well, I was going to say I'm worse than you are, but probably not. We're human beings, and we have this tendency. Connie was talking about it this morning. We get so caught up in our worldly conditions, in our manifest forms, and the materiality of this time of year, that it takes away from our ability to be consciously aware of what it is that we are thinking, feeling, and doing, being in the world. So my whole lesson today was for me, really, to keep me more conscious. So I'm asking you, especially from this moment forward, because we're going to need it with everything that's happening in the world, to bring the gift of the presence. Now, I've been talking about the baby Jesus, about our potential and the greatness that we have within us, but it seems to be stopped. So, in thinking about greatness, there was a tourist passing through a quaint village when he came upon an old resident sitting beside a tree. Were any great men born in the village, the tourist asked. No, the old man replied, only babies. Now that's the truth about every human being. No matter what we have achieved in life up until now, no matter what Jesus achieved, no matter what any great person has achieved, they were once a baby. They came in naked, hungry, and probably cold, and needed to be clothed. And that's what Mary did with her baby. I'm sure she fed him, she wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and then worshiped the miracle of the birth of the baby. And hopefully that's what all of us came into the world, to be worshiped, to have recognized within us the Christ child that is always there, always has been. There's some place in the textbook, and I couldn't find it, but I remember the words, and it says, asleep in the heart of cosmic love is the Christ principle. Asleep in the heart of cosmic love. And that cosmic love is within each one of us. Do you feel that? I mean, just close your eyes for a moment and think about cosmic love. It's radiating through each one of us. And especially here in this collective consciousness of the power that we know is within us. We feel that presence. I was thinking about how we can express more of the light and the love that we are. And of course, what we offer here at the church. John told you about all of the classes that are being offered. We come together every Sunday for celebration. And hopefully you make that a consistent practice. You have your own personal spiritual practices on a daily basis that help to enrich and expand the light of the heart of the cosmic love that's available to all of us. There's another place in the textbook that says we are formed of happiness, that quietness and confidence are ours, and that we live in the heart of the Father. We live in the heart of God. So I want you to say this after me. I am formed of happiness.
I am formed of happiness.
Say it again. I am formed of happiness. Quietness and confidence is mine.
Quietness and confidence is mine.
We probably should have said are. Is that right? Quietness and confidence are mine. Okay, let's say it again. Quietness and confidence are mine. Okay. Sharon Favor would be happy with me. And then the last one is, I live in the heart of God forever. I live in the heart of God forever. So if we would just remember that, especially when we go out into the shopping malls and the lines. I was shopping the other day, and I was at Walmart getting one thing. And it was in the garden center. And so I started for the cash registers, and I looked at the line, and the line went here, and it went here, and it went out into the store. Well, I was walking back thinking, do I really need this? And I wanted it, so I was trudging back toward the end of the line, and I saw somebody I knew, and I said, this line is so long. And she said, it goes really fast. There's 4 cashiers. I said, thank you, Angel. And it did. It moved very swiftly, but if I hadn't seen her, I would have been not conscious and begrudging every moment I had to stand in that line. So much for consciousness. But thank God, no matter where I go or where I am, it seems I always have an angel to remind me, if I don't remind myself, of who I am. Now, 18 years ago, I decided to become a police chaplain. And the very first thing that our teacher, who was a chaplain from Sacramento, said to us was, the only thing that you're really charged to do as a chaplain is to bring the presents. To bring the presents. And I thought, really? So how do you bring the presents when you're in the midst of somebody being arrested and somebody's dead from a car accident and a child's being taken to the foster home or whatever it is? How do you bring the presents? Well, trust me, I had to learn. And so what I did was, whenever I got a call, I paused. I surrounded myself in light. And then when I went to the scene, I consciously radiated light from my heart. That's what I did, mostly for the whole time I was there, unless I was bringing water, comforting somebody that was watching whatever was going on, or if it was a death notification, comforting the family. But I would surround them in light. I would pray with them or do whatever was called for, but I was bringing the presence. I was front and center with it, very conscious, because that's what I was called to do. So I'm asking you this Christmas season to bring the presents, no matter where you are or what you are doing. So how can you do that? Well, you could start by finding time. This is my #1 issue. I say it too often. I don't have the time. Time just gets away from me. So find the time. Call a friend. Reconcile with a loved one maybe you haven't talked to for a while. Forgive an enemy. Anybody have an enemy? Yeah, you wouldn't admit it anyway. Yeah. How many are still dealing with the election results? You don't always have to admit it, but anyway. And like Reverend Kathy said last week, this is not a political statement. I'm practicing science of mind. So this is what I would ask you to do. Dismiss suspicion and replace it with trust. So everybody take a deep breath. Yeah. No more suspicion. What if you cancel? What if we all let go of the negativity that we have about the results? Either way, doesn't matter. What would happen to the United States of America if we gave up our stories and our beliefs about whatever we think is going to happen, and trusted that God is at the center of every activity, not only within ourselves, but within every politician, within every government of counties, cities, states, and the whole, and then extend that to the world. Ernest Holmes says if there's only 1,000 people truly practicing the science of mind, we would have a world of peace. 1,000 people? Are you kidding me? That's all it would take? So what does that tell you about us? We're not practicing enough. I know, well, I don't know about you. I'll tell you about me. And this is a confession. I don't do it enough. I don't catch myself soon enough. It's certainly a lot more and better than it used to be. But I still get caught in whatever's going on in the world, at the level of the world. And Jesus taught us to be in the world but not of it. So that's what we have to do in order for us to bring the presence, to be front and center with who we are, this cosmic love that's ready to reveal itself. Now, the theme for this month is the joy of Spirit revealed. And that's what this talk is about. It's about the revelation, not just the knowing about it, but the expression of the revelation of the truth of who we are. So, continuing on, how can we do that? We could, rather than giving advice, we could simply listen to someone. Deeply listen, and if that needs to be active, then practice active listening, not giving advice. Apologize if you're wrong. How many of you just don't like to do? You don't have to raise your hand. I mean, I think in every human being there's just a little core of a need to be right. And, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? That's what we have to remember. And when we bring the presence, we can be happy. And then, this is a big one for right now. Bless the person in the parking lot that stole your place as you were waiting for it. I saw that happen the other day. I mean, this car, it had been waiting there for a while, and this other car came down, this car pulled out, and the other one pulled right in and left this other one sitting there, and I thought, oh, that was mean. And then that brings me to Ellen DeGeneres. Do you watch her show? Yeah. And what are her words? The last words that she closes her show with? It's be kind to one another. That is such a simple thing. Instead of being snippy and cranky and whatever else we are, beside being kind. And then when you're standing in the line waiting to purchase your gift or whatever it is you're getting, surround the people in front of you with light. Let yourself be filled with light. I've been taking Scott Wyman's class, and we have he taught us a mantra. And it's the Medicine Buddha mantra, and it has 7 lines to it. And it took me several months to memorize that thing. And so anyway, the Medicine Buddha is green, and it's up here. And then the character for the, what is that, Connie? The symbol. For the Buddha, anyway, whatever it is. I can see it. What?
The Om sign? The hums?
Yes, the hums. Yes, the hum sign. And then you have a 1,000-petal lotus at the top of your head. You let that open and bring the light. The Buddha is shining the light through all of that, bringing it down into the heart, and then you just let it spread out. Just let it spread out. And you can do it with your eyes open. You don't have to close them while you're standing in line. People might think you're asleep or whatever. They want to move you on. But that simple act changes things. I've watched it. It's amazing. Comforts people, gives them more energy. And then you can do some treatment work while you're the prayer treatment. As you imagine the light, you can say to yourself, I know that I am filled with the energy of God. And the energy of God is filling each one of these people in front of me, easing the pain in their feet, giving them the energy to do whatever it is they need to do to finish their shopping, to be so filled with this light and love that I'm releasing and giving to them as the presence of God, that they feel uplifted. They're strengthened to move forward, to do whatever it is that they need to do. So in that way, you're speaking your love, you're speaking it again, and speaking it again. So I want to close with a Christmas prayer that I found, and I think it sort of wraps up what I've been trying to say. And it's this, after I take a drink. Let not our hearts be busy inns that have no room for thee, but cradles for the living Christ and his nativity. Still driven by 1,000 cares, the pilgrims come and go. The hurried caravans press on. The inns are crowded so. Here are the rich and busy ones with things that must be sold. No room for simple things within their hostelry of gold. Yet hunger dwells within these walls, these shining walls and bright, and blindness groping here and there without a ray of light. Oh, lest we starve and lest we die in our stupidity. Come, Holy Child within, and share our hospitality. Let not our hearts be busy inns that have no room for thee, but cradles for the living Christ and his nativity. Cradled within the bosom of our hearts is the Christ light. God within each one of us, awaiting our recognition. I charge you to recognize who you are, to be the gods that Jesus said we are. And I wish you a very Merry Christmas. Namaste.